Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the Road to Freedom podcast. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Matt.
And today you don't get to see us, but that's okay because, unfortunately, you don't get to see Matt's pretty face. But with mine, you'd have to obviously alternate between the Barry White voice and the squeaky teen voice. So I'm going to have to ask my manager. And today we thought we'd put aside the non-aggression principle series that we're going over and talk about what this podcast kind of talks about from libertarian principles on a more local level. And we thought we'd mostly focus on the ballot initiatives for the state of Michigan that we're going to be voting on Tuesday. But we do want to say that there are libertarian people that are on the races as well. Bill Galanu from the governor's race. We have Lisa Lane Joya on the Attorney General. If you're not subscribed to her Facebook page, she's real sweet, and I would suggest being friends with her. The interesting thing about her is, like the sheriff, you don't need to be a police officer to be a sheriff, and you don't need to be a lawyer to be Attorney General, and she isn't a lawyer. I think that probably speaks good towards the position.
Yeah.
And then we have Secretary of State Gregory Scott Stempfli, and unfortunately nobody in the Senate race. But Stempfli, he's got some awesome sideburn, almost mutton chops. So
isn't Wenke going for the House again?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. And the interesting thing about that is he did run previously as a Republican, and I think they've just reused his signs because I've seen him on the back of the trucks, and his signs are pretty big. I've seen him on running trails and over by main highways here over in Kalamazoo.
Yeah, he's always just parking them somewhere.
Yeah.
On the back of a truck, and then you'll go, the next day or later that night, and he drives them away. Parks them at the greenhouse or something.
Yeah. Yep. So those are the races to vote Libertarian if you so choose. We were talking about kind of how ironic it is when we go to vote that some of your rights are insanely curtailed at those spots. So we talked about, like, you could be wearing a vote for Republicans, or vote for Democrats, or candidate A, support him, on a t-shirt. If you get within, 100 feet, 100 yards, 100 something, that's an illegal shirt. So by exercising your right to vote, it limits your freedom of speech. And then once you are at the polling spot, you can't even take a photo of your own ballot. It's illegal.
Yeah, and that's weird why people say that, because it's like, it's not like it's a secret ballot that that no one's ever seen before. You can look up
this isn't Survivor.
The sample ballot, a while in advance. So it's like, why would they need to keep it so secret? Like, if you want to put out there who you voted for, then that's your right to do so.
Well, and I mean, you have the I voted sticker.
Yeah.
But so what's it matter?
Which, weirdly enough, people don't believe you vote if you don't have the sticker.
Yeah, I refuse the sticker every time.
I didn't get a sticker last time because I think I got there so early they didn't even have them out, because I just went right after work, and I didn't even get one, and people were like, "Did you even vote?" Like, do you vote if you don't have a sticker?
Yeah.
Like,
it's like not declaring your relationship on Facebook. It's not official.
Or picture it didn't happen. Well, sorry, I can't take a picture because it's illegal.
So
theoretically, then let's say you're standing in line, like, next to your mom. Can you even legally talk about who you're going to vote for to your own mother right in line?
No, you can talk about the facts of it, but you can't say this is why you should support it.
Once you stand 100 feet away from the polling station, your rights are just taken away.
Right. So it's
freedom of speech, not here, people.
Yeah.
You get the freedom of the pencil.
Yeah. So you can wear a sign that says vote. That's not political, but vote for a particular person. That then becomes bad speech. No.
Like, I get it if it's the, the person running, standing there, like, berating people as they walk in. I could understand that, but even still, it's all, all these polling stations are public buildings that people
or become public,
yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's like they theoretically though they should be able to stand outside if they want to take time out of their day after they voted and just be like, hey, I'm Steve McQueen, I'd like you to vote for me in my car.
Well, and 101 feet, completely fine.
Yeah, that's funny.
100 feet.
If I ran for office or anything like that, I would measure it out exactly and be like 1 centimeter away from the line and just be like, hey guys, vote for me.
Yeah. Make sure your lips aren't over the line.
Yeah. I'd probably give it a couple feet just in case so people don't get too butthurt.
So yes, so exercise your freedom by curtailing it. So
yeah.
But we thought we'd go over the three the initiatives, the ballot proposals for this November, and some interesting ones. And it's kind of a multi-part one. So obviously, Proposal 1 is probably the most well-known, and that's
it's the loudest.
Legalizing the marijuana. Oh no, you can't say marijuana anymore. That's
marijuana.
Yeah, because it's racist to say marijuana.
Yeah, because we've taken that word from
So what is
the
it now?
Hispanic culture. I don't know. I just say it's loud.
Yeah,
that's what Kid Cudi says.
There you go. So what you'll see on the ballot says a proposed initiated law to authorize and legalize possession, use, and cultivation of marijuana products by individuals who are at least 21 years of age or older, and commercial sales of marijuana through state licensed retailers. Hey, there we go. That's all you need. Period.
Nope, that's not all they have.
A little bit more verbiage than I would want. Just say that it's decriminalized and you can do what you want. And
my question is, let's say this passes, everybody's sitting in jail for petty small marijuana charges gets released, right?
Yeah, well, that's not the way that's happened in Colorado,
which is dumb because you're gonna drop it to a civil infraction now.
Yes, but Matt, they broke the law, and we know that laws are
and now we've changed
are inherently moral, and so you went against the state first of all. So that's your biggest thing. So just giving that right off the bat. So man, I'll have to check to see what episode we talked about.
How bad would that suck if you really think about it?
Oh,
you get arrested and you get, I don't know what the mandatory minimum they give you is. Like you're sitting in jail for 4 years for a petty little possession charge, and then it gets decriminalized, and you're still like finishing out, the last couple years of your sentence while everyone else is walking around with more weed than you had.
Yeah.
And you got to finish your sentence. It's like every sentence should just be done after that. Like oh, it got November 6th it got decriminalized. November 7th you're free.
Yeah. Yep. That's what should be. And the Attorney General should be the one that kind of kicks that off. Or
hopefully
the governor,
a new
the governor
libertarian Attorney General.
Yeah. The governor can nullify those convictions and not just overturn them, but declare your record
clean. Who knows? Maybe if we vote for her, she would do that.
Yeah, there you go.
You never know if you don't vote for her.
Yeah. You have to vote for it in order to know if she'll do it.
Yeah.
So in episode 4, we talked about libertarian principles as it applies to the drug war. Libertarians have consistently been opposed to the war on drugs. It's failed. Anything war of declared by the government has pretty much been a complete failure. Yeah. War on poverty, war on the children, or education, or definitely the war on drugs.
Wait, the war on poverty didn't work? We're not all rich? I thought we were.
It's just because we haven't embraced our good Lord and Savior Bernie Sanders, who did a Reddit AMA today and answered about 12 questions. And someone asked him, my favorite one was, what's your favorite book you've read? And of course, what does he do? He talks about a book that he's produced.
Yeah.
Like, come on. I mean, we know it's not economics in one lesson. Obviously.
Yeah, he actually said for people to stop sending economics books. So we should start a PayPal or something that, our 4 listeners. No, I'm just joking. Our few listeners, hopefully more one day, can just, donate money to send Bernie Sanders Economics for Dummies.
Yeah, there you go.
Every year.
The people that I see mostly opposed to this, other than tend to be older people, but is like the Michigan police. I don't know what they are. It's pretty much like a collection of Michigan police officers.
All those dang cops.
Well, what would be the biggest thing that would drive the police to not want to legalize it? I mean, you're not talking about hard barbiturates here, which are completely fine in the libertarian worldview. No, you're talking about cops coming up to vehicles that have done pretext stops, which is a stop that's designed to pull somebody over that's they've committed a traffic infraction or something low level or any type of infraction that they can then approach a vehicle and continue investigation. So a pretext stop happens, and all they have to do is say, "Oh, I smell weed."
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that you think about, because, I mean, smelling weed gives them probable cause then, and then, I mean, I don't know what the numbers are, but a lot of times they're probably going to find, if it actually smells like weed, they might find more, and what other drug really has that strong odor?
Yeah, well, and that's always been the case where, how do you prove that in court? Judge, jury, he did not smell weed. Yes, I did. Oh, okay. Well, we're going to take the police testimony over the person because they're a trusted entity.
Yeah, and then how can you even say, oh, it smells like you were just smoking, or what if they their friend happened to be smoking right next to them? Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
So I can understand why they're against it, and it's going to be funny. Hopefully this will pass this portion of it. Obviously, the whole thing either has to pass or not pass. But it would take a lot out of police's tool bag to search.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you can't smell heroin. You can't smell meth. I guess maybe you could if the ammonia is leaking. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're not so easily able to conduct a search or have police dogs show up. And I've seen where police look at like leaves and sticks on the floor and they go, oh, that's shake. Oh, that's stuff that has come off after you are done rolling it.
When in reality, it's leaves that came off my shoe.
Yeah. The normal dirt and dust that happens for people that don't constantly clean their car.
One thing in an article I read, they were a strong thing against it was saying they say that driving under the influence of marijuana, what does it say? Believes car crashes will most certainly increase as high drivers take to the road. And it's like, well, where are your numbers to prove that, first of all? And I mean, it's illegal to smoke like while you're driving. They're still going to make it illegal to drive while you're high.
Right.
So I mean, still breaking a law there. Like, you're not legalizing driving while under the influence. Right. It's the same thing. Yeah, you're going to have people do it. I mean, you have people that drink and drive. But, I mean, are the numbers really going to raise that much? Where are they testing this theory at?
Right.
What are your numbers?
And how much more does alcohol affect you than weed? I mean, that...
I mean, weed may slow your senses a little bit, but, I mean, you got drunk people falling asleep at the wheel.
Yeah, we're not saying to do it. Yeah. Because that's stupid and puts
We're
other
saying
people
which one's actually
in
more
danger.
dangerous.
Right. So this proposal would allow individuals 21 and older to purchase, possess, and use marijuana and marijuana-infused edibles and grow up to 12 marijuana plants per personal consumption. 12 because, it's not 13 and it's more than 11.
Yeah.
I mean, arbitrary numbers are arbitrary. I guess you have to pick something, but...
Yeah, that's one thing, too, is because, 10 ounces in the home as long as it's properly locked up. But you can also grow 12 plants for personal use. I've never grown, pot at all, but how many ounces can you get off of 12 plants? So that, I don't know. It makes it sound like you got to start blazing that up a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, I'm about to go over my 10-ounce max or you're leaving it. Oh, no, I thought that bud was still on the plant.
Well, and a law that is hard to follow is not a law worth its salt.
And
So
properly locked
how do you
too.
know? How do you know?
Properly locked. That's all they say. They don't say how.
Yeah,
Do I
it's
have to
behind
buy
the
a
door.
safe
Yeah.
for? I mean, does locking my front door count, or do people need to start buying weed safes? Maybe we should get in the weed safe business
There you go.
if this
Yeah.
passes.
Yeah. So again, arbitrary numbers, but okay, like I said, we're moving the football.
Yeah. I mean, are those just the numbers like Colorado and California and all those other states chose? Is that why we're doing it?
I think Michigan is less the state of Michigan is less susceptible to change than Colorado was, because working from a township perspective, they are asking townships to kind of allow dispensaries to come in, but every 3 months or so they keep changing the rules on their end.
Yeah.
It's like how can the person who wants to establish by the books dispensary operate like that, and then how can townships who operate in a desire to control what's going on in their township, not that you should, in that capacity, how are they able to make decisions? So a lot of people have missed the deadline for maintaining a legal dispensary, and most townships that I know of have turned down. Like, you have to give a positive affirmation for allowing, or you have to say no, you don't. And the ones that I know of have turned it down.
Yeah.
And places like Alamo, where I'm a township trustee now, it's harvestable land. Like we could start making money off of it if you so chose to tax it.
Yeah.
Not that I'd want to, but you're missing opportunities of getting in there early. But when the state keeps changing the rules, it makes people skittish about, well, if we allow it today, we can't not allow it in the next 3 months when the state might do something that we get scared of or don't want.
Yeah.
So they just end up turning it down. That seems to be almost the plan of the state. The next portion for it: create a state licensing system for marijuana businesses and allow municipalities to ban or restrict them. So you can grow it, you can have it, but definitely don't sell it. And depending on where you live, they can regulate, even banning it again. So
just the banning to sell it, right?
Right.
Okay.
So you can have it, you can grow it, but definitely don't sell it. Like, why not? And all the rules that are tacked on to it, like, you can't own a firearm as a means of protection at your dispensary,
which is so dumb because they're still law-abiding citizens. Like, you're not breaking the law having a legal dispensary,
right? And that whole adage of when the police are minutes away, you're screwed out of those seconds.
Your weed just got stolen, your entire harvest.
Yeah. So
you can't do anything about it.
I tried making my case for legalization within the township, and someone was saying, well, it will bring in thieves and stuff like that to come in and just raid the place. Well, okay, allow them to have firearms, allow them to have insurance, allow them to utilize means of protection. No, not possible for them. Like,
and will it really bring in thieves when now, especially if we legalize marijuana now, that now you can grow 12 plants of your own?
Yeah.
You don't need to go steal theirs.
Yeah.
You grow your own plants.
Well, and alcohol. Well, why is that allowed to you can protect your alcohol store with whatever means of protection you want?
Liquor stores got a shotgun underneath the table.
Yeah.
But dispensaries, nah.
Right.
I mean, I wonder if those laws would change if it becomes legalized, because I think maybe the only
normalized,
thing, yeah, because maybe the only thing they're doing now is, since it's legal to have like a medical dispensary or whatever for medical use, maybe once it's legal for everyone across the board, 21 and older, they would get rid of those laws because it's just a dumb law, because now weed is entirely legal. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
Maybe it'll change, but it seems like, again, there was a compromise of what people are allowed to do and then what businesses are allowed to do, which it seems like businesses are just people.
Yeah.
They're made up of people. And it seems like if you want to curtail the amount of people who have who are possessing their own personal stuff, you would want a centralized area where people can go and buy.
Yeah.
You'd want it well protected. You'd want it made known that, hey, if you come here with bad intentions, then you're gonna meet similar fate of anybody who
meet similar force.
And it doesn't always have to be a leading to death thing.
No.
Because that's not what we see in Colorado or Washington or all these other California until Obama came in and really harped on dispensaries. And it'll be interesting to see what the feds do, because it is still federally mandated, a Schedule I drug, which means that it has no municipal medical purposes.
Yeah.
So we know that's not the case.
No.
There are already studies being done, have been done.
I mean, I saw a video the other day. Don't know how true it was. Again, internet, but I mean, that's not. They're not saying that's what cured, but the guy. But he stopped. He had cancer, stopped doing chemo, and just started blazing it up. And all of a sudden, he doesn't have cancer anymore, or went into remission.
Probably affects your appetite too.
Yeah.
Next part of it: permit retail sales of marijuana and edibles. Subject. That should be a period. But instead, it's 10% excise tax dedicated to implementation costs, clinical trials, schools, roads, municipalities where marijuana businesses are located. So essentially, the place that you set up shop is going to steal 10% of your
on top of the 6%
profit.
Sales tax already.
Yeah. Yep.
So 16% tax on
almost a quarter of your taxes, and that's not just normal business tax.
I like how they don't really say exactly where it's going. They just say it's going to go to the municipality. It's like between roads, schools, and the community. Oh, so pretty much you have no idea where it's going.
Right.
I mean they're taxing you already, which is just theft. But they can't even just decide like, hey, we're going to give it to roads and schools, or we're going to give it. It's just It's just going to the community that you're in. You have no idea where it's going after that.
And then the good part of change several current violations from crimes to civil infractions. Again, it shouldn't even be civil infractions, but at least it's not misdemeanor. However, like we saw with the homeless issue, changing it from a crime to a civil infraction lowers the burden of proof on the state, so that they only have to do preponderance of an evidence rather than beyond a reasonable doubt. And then people are less likely to have a jury trial because of it, and so you can't have jury nullification that way. So this is a mixed bag. It's good on the individual. Again, still like 21 versus 18. Don't know why that's the case, other than this is still, I think, an attempt to get probably the best version of a legalization proposal out there by saying, oh, it's like alcohol and we'll kind of regulate it like alcohol. But 12 plants, who cares? 10 ounces, whatever that means. And then you have businesses that are taxed on top of it.
Yeah.
Are we trying to be like Colorado that has seen a boom in industry from it, or are we trying to penalize people from starting up because they already have to pay a business tax? They can't get loans. They can't open bank accounts. Like I checked with Lake Michigan Credit Union, and I always feel like I'm having to apologize and say, like, I'm as straight edged as they come. I've never smoked weed. I've mostly walked through the aftermath of it. That's probably the most that I've ever done or are willing to do for non-medical purposes. But asking them, like, how do you have your money in a dispensary? Because if you can't open a bank account for it, then you're sitting on cash.
Yeah,
and
which is
cash,
again now.
Weed's fine to not be safeguarded, but the cash is
and now you can't have a gun inside of yours to protect it. And now you got to invest in a nice fireproof safe just in case, because all the profit you're making and everything like that is just pure cash.
Yeah. So if you're Marty Berg from Ozark, weed business is the way to go.
Yep.
The interesting thing that people don't realize is here's where you nick all the gang wars. Here's how you stop the cartels. Not only from this, the other ones would be cocaine and heroin, and meth is more of a white people drug, so that's not really carded in.
It's the redneck drug.
But if you want to stop gang wars, for the most part, but if you want to stop the cartels, the best thing that the cartels have going for them is the illegality of drugs. Yeah. Because it creates a black market, it rises up. We saw it with Prohibition, and everyone forgets about Prohibition, but then everyone brings up Prohibition during this. But there's no thinking about what the past taught us, and we view. I think most people view Prohibition as like, oh, that antiquated Prohibition. Remember Elliot Ness and his Untouchables, and yeah, it makes for a good movie, but at the same time, it's Al Capone that they went after for the violence and machine guns and all that stuff. That was because of the war against alcohol.
The mob would have never gotten such a stronghold of power too if it weren't for that, because they were able to just make so much money when they made it illegal.
Yeah.
And right now we've kept weed illegal for so long that you're just allowing more and more criminals to make more and more money off of it, where at least regular everyday citizens could make some money off of it. Granted, the government's going to make plenty of money off of it because they're taxing you 16%.
On top of your business. On top
of your business stuff. So you're giving away quite a bit, but
I don't know how filing taxes for the IRS is like or anything like that. So, it seemed to work for Colorado. Colorado seems to be doing okay. I don't know enough about their proposals that they voted on either. Or it seemed like Colorado was more inviting of changing the system that was established. Obviously not decriminalizing, which this one does not mention whatsoever about what about the people who are currently in jail.
Yeah. I know. The states that have legalized it are not going, up in flames right now.
Yeah.
California legalized it and they still suck. But
come on, you want to remove probably 60% of your prison population or your
think about
jail
how
population?
Many people. That would be an interesting number to know, is how many people are locked up for, whatever ounces, 10 ounces of weed they might have had on them. That's a lot of weed.
Yeah. You're probably still going to have arrests because of marijuana, because someone will be driving with it. But how do you buy it at a dispensary and then get it to your house?
I wonder if that's another question I'd like answered, because do I have to carry a receipt around with me? But what if I had to run other errands and the cop sees like, oh, well, yeah, you had your receipt, but you live 20 minutes away, but now I got to run home, lock it up in my weed safe.
Yeah. Is it like transporting a firearm if you don't have a CCW? You have to have it locked, and the marijuana and the papers separate from each other?
Yeah, the papers or the pipe, whatever paraphernalia. Yeah. They're in the cabin of your car, and the weed is in the trunk.
And probably see a lot more gas stations with pipes.
Oh, yeah.
I already see it. Then maybe they just remove for tobacco use only.
Yeah, they don't have to lie anymore.
Yeah. We all know.
Yeah, we all know. We all know the hydroponics store is not many people.
Tomatoes.
Not many people are doing hydroponics in their house in the winter to grow that kind of stuff. Actually, I do have a friend though that does that for little sprouts, not like the little veggies and stuff like that.
Sure, they're quite tasty. And now you can infuse it with weed. Or well, if this passes.
He lives in Georgia, so he's kind of screwed.
Does Georgia even have laws?
Probably against weed.
Yeah, probably.
That's it.
Proposal 2. Proposal 2 and 3 seem to...
vague.
I don't know. They seem like a quick reading, okay, good idea, but then you kind of think about it a little bit more. So Proposal 2, proposed constitutional amendment, so changing the Michigan Constitution to establish a commission of citizens with exclusive authority to adopt district boundaries for the Michigan Senate, Michigan House of Representations, there we go, and the U.S. Congress every 10 years. Proposed constitutional amendment would create a commission of 13 registered voters randomly selected by the Secretary of State, for each from the self-identified as affiliated with 2 major political parties, and 5 who self-identified as unaffiliated with major political parties. So instead of, this is gerrymandering, right? Redistricting every 10 years, and it seems to benefit the people in power at the time. But at the same time, so you draw lines based on, voting population. So blue gets so many, red gets so many. But isn't that just having representation, good representation of what actually people in a certain geographic area consist of? Like, borders aren't straight up and down lines, right? Unless you live in New York, your roads are, not crisscrossing.
Curved.
Yeah. And so yes, it seems odd that we just allow redrawing of districts based on whoever in power, but maybe we just set it down for once and then don't pick it back up again.
Yeah, that's what I always wonder, is like, why are we always redrawing this? Why can't we just, here's District 7, here's District 1, and that's the way it's going to stay forever.
Yeah, I mean, like if you have people who are going out of an area, like Detroit would be a good example of, well, you're going to lose representatives because you're no longer a 1 million person city.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, there might be times like that, like older population die off or move out to Florida, and therefore no one's in that district anymore.
Yeah, Detroit, your entire population moved to the suburbs.
But you could always write the law that says if a population of negative 60% leave an area, then you redraw the district lines.
Something like that.
But here you're giving the Secretary of State enormous power to then again,
who already has too much power.
Yeah, allow 4 people and from the R's and D's, and then 5 people who just supposedly don't vote for anybody else, I guess.
Or they could. The funny part is, like, the secretary. I mean, I'm guessing these are for people who have like checked off the little box saying, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, I'm a something else.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're probably gonna. The other problem with that is the other 5 people from the other, the non-2 R's and D's. That I mean, what if they just never filled in that blank and they lean super right, super left? Like you don't know, and now I mean, it's kind of a tainted board or whatever it's going to be.
And I mean, you have 9 people, and they're trying to say, oh, well, we have 5 who are self-identified as unaffiliated. But I mean, people lie. Believe it or not, people lie.
No.
Yeah. And you still have, every 10 years, you still have those people changing it.
Yeah, and then it says somewhere too that they can't be
office holders, candidates, their employees, certain relatives, and lobbyists from serving as commissioners.
Yeah, so like, how many people are you gonna quote unquote randomly go through anyway that has no affiliation to anything whatsoever?
Yeah. Establishing new redistricting criteria, including geographically compact and contiguous districts of equal population, reflecting Michigan's diverse population, communities of interest. Districts shall not provide disproportionate advantage to political parties or candidates. But again, isn't the best use of redistricting to provide the most accurate representation of that area? And so if you have to draw a line jawed, like, yeah, okay, I could see the abuse from it. So Republicans find 60% of their constituents on the west side, and Democrats find 40% on the other side. Democrats can redraw in such a way that it evens it out and equalizes the amount of representation.
Yeah.
but okay, but you can still make a claim like they're not going to do it to offset their own interest. They're doing it to say, hey, people in the East region, we want to represent you, and so they draw the lines that way, or vice versa. So I don't understand the complexity added to this that offsets it. Like it's seems to be a good idea, but when you kind of drill down into it, you don't quite get. I don't think you'll get the desired outcome that you'll see.
I think it was just like someone was sitting around a table. How can we make this better? And then it was like the first one thrown out. Like, yeah, we'll go with it.
Yeah, and the interesting about this proposal too is that, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Alyssa Milano are for it, and there's actually a couple millionaires in Texas who are Democratic opponent or supporters that are giving millions of dollars to Michigan for this. Well, if one party seems to be supporting it this much,
I did read a thing that said arguments for and against, and it was saying a lot of the people, for this are a little more Democratic leaning.
Yeah. So you could have them make the point that they're wanting the best representation that's fair for all people,
or you could see that they're wanting a way to take more power somehow.
Yeah, maybe every 10 years they just have been in the losing field, and so they're changing it this way. And then also it would require appropriation of funds for commission operations and commissioner compensation. So pay these people a ton of money to not be influenced by money. Although,
are these new people that are going to be deciding the redistricting and everything, are they now going to be paid individuals too?
Yeah, that's what the last part
chosen randomly, and they'll be paid. Randomly
selected by the Secretary of State, but in what capacity?
Yeah, and then honestly, if you really want it, why can't they make it just, you're not getting paid. It's just you're doing this for the good of the people. I don't know. I don't think that should be a paid position in my eyes.
Well, you can't have slaves.
That's true. Yeah, so. That's right, because then they're chosen. I mean, you should be able to refuse it then. If you're chosen, you're like, I don't want to do it. And you just, unfortunately, Secretary of State actually has to do some work and just keep choosing until.
Yeah. Well,
maybe it should be a volunteer thing. Like, hey, you have to. I mean, people can still lie, but you can make them sign a piece of paper that says, yes, I am a Democrat. I'm going to be one of the ones chosen for this. I'm a Republican. I'm this. I'm a party that's not tied to them, and then they just sign up to do it.
Yeah. Or, get
we all know politics.
The minor parties to get in there and
we all know politics is pretty corrupt usually anyway. So I mean, so what? Well, I mean, you're not going to fix the corruptness by the Secretary of State randomly choosing these people.
But they've completely renovated the means by which they get you in to help with your vehicle stuff.
The only good thing the Secretary of State has ever done is allowed me to get in line on my phone from the comfort of my own home.
Which disenfranchises the poor.
Everybody's got phones now.
Including the poor? Really? Oh, man.
Everybody.
And then Proposal 3. Again, right off the bat, seems to be a decent idea, but you kind of scratch your head a little bit. So Proposal 3, a proposal to authorize automatic and election day voter registration, no reason absentee voting, and straight ticket voting, and add current legal requirements for military and overseas voting, and post-election audits to the Michigan Constitution. Again, changed in the Michigan Constitution. Proposal Constitution amendment would allow the United States citizen who is qualified to vote in Michigan to become automatically registered to vote when applying for, updating, or renewing a driver's license or state-issued personal identification card, unless the person declines automatically. So maybe a good idea, but if you have to rely on an automatic system, again, I'm one of those people that doesn't believe that everyone should vote.
Well, yeah, and the only thing this is doing, it'll automatically register you to vote, but that's just you'll get more registered voters,
right?
But I mean, those are the people that are already just going to be automatically are not going to be the people that normally go out and vote. I mean, you may get a few that are like, oh, I am a registered voter, I'll go vote, but most of the time, if you sign someone up automatically, you know, they're not going to know where their polling station is. They're probably not going to pay attention. They're not the people that pay attention. They're probably not the people that ever vote.
Yeah.
But so you'll see even less turnouts now. You'll see lower turnouts because you'll have almost the entire population of the state as a registered voter, but you won't. I mean, unless a lot of them decline, but you'll see so low turnout still.
I wonder if this is just a back end way to get more people for jury duty.
Maybe. Speaking of which, I mean, I'm still waiting to get on a good jury duty. I got 2 summons in my life, but they were both when I was in the military. And I sent a letter back saying, I will come serve jury duty if you pay for my plane ticket. And you get my commander to let me go.
There you go.
But they always said, no, you're fine. Well,
and I don't understand why you can't go volunteer for it.
I know.
I'm a third shift person. I'm interested in the process. Voir dire me for a bunch of them and choose me for the best juries.
Yeah,
that you want me to.
I would like to be on jury duty more.
You have people there that come with excuses. I'm coming with you to say, hey,
yeah, you got so many people looking for ways to get out of jury duty, and you've probably got a few. You got some people out there that would volunteer, whether they volunteer to get get out of work for a week or something like that, or I mean, you could be on a super interesting case that is really cool.
Yeah, or engage in jury nullification.
Yeah,
that you probably don't want to tell anybody about. So. I see the big push, and it seems to be mostly on a Democrat channels or or through young people about trying to get people to sign up to vote, and it's like a big deal when they get people to vote. But if it requires a random person to walk up to another person, say, hey, have you registered to vote? No? Here, sign the piece of paper. I mean, do you honestly want people like that voting? Or the people that say, I don't care who you vote for, just get out there and vote? Well, what if all those people you sign up for vote against whatever you want? Oh, well, the process works. No, Don't you want people who aren't, just you've signed up 30 homeless people and they had no intention of voting, but you drag them out there and they just check the first box that they want to so that they can get their sandwich, even though that'd be illegal. But are you honestly saying that you would rather have just everybody in the entire world, in the entire country, vote just to say, oh, we did it, we went over the 34%,
we got 100% turnout? Yeah,
I mean, which is impossible because of really young people, but let's say you had 85% turnout. Is that going to make for a better nation?
Yeah, or would it make more voters out there that didn't do their time to actually find out what they're voting about?
Yeah,
that's what I feel like it would do.
I feel like most of the time I want to be on the winning team. I voted for someone who won, which is insane. Like, why is that I've succeeded if this person wins the election? Like, it's only a win for you if the person who you voted for represents your ideas.
Yeah.
That's why I don't really quite play up on the politics of, oh, you're representing the people in your district. Like, yeah, okay, that's true, like, in theory, but you have ideals coming in. Granted, the R's and the D's tend to switch depending on who they're talking to. But for the libertarian point of view, hey, here's my ideology. Here's the points of view that I think are important. Here's what I would like to accomplish. you're voting for that person and that platform. If you go back and say, hey, I don't like you allowing for people who were convicted of weed to get out of prison, well, but you voted for them to go in there with their ideology, and so, I mean, do they have to really listen to you? Well, no, they're in there until you you kick them out, which is another process, or you have to you're forced to wait another 4, 6, or 2, depending on your area, years.
Yeah, and I mean, they should say too, you're not representing the people in your district or wherever. You're representing the majority in your district or whatever you represent. Because I mean, you're not.
A Republican's not going to be representing the Democratic people in that area.
No, and I mean, let's say, like for instance, not many libertarians in like holding seats and everything like that in Michigan. So, like, we're not actually being represented.
Right. Yeah.
We don't have a representative that's libertarian right now.
Yes, I would like a free nation state where there isn't government. So where's the place that I can go to?
Yeah, where can I go to?
Yeah. Also part of this, Proposal 3, simultaneously register vote with proof of residency and obtain a ballot during the 2-week period prior to an election, up to and including election day. Okay, again, hey, making it more easy to vote. But at the same time, if you are waiting until the 2 weeks prior
or the
to the
day
election or the day of,
day of to,
are you really that informed of a person that people would want you to decide? I mean, assuming that your vote actually matters, which it probably doesn't, because of redistricting, because of gerrymandering. Like my vote, our vote probably won't matter.
No.
Ours is more of a protest vote.
Yep.
But
down with the government.
Do you really want? Yeah. Is there voting for anarchy?
Yeah, can I vote like no one on all of those? And if no one, if the spot that says remove person wins, can we just remove that person and no one sits in that seat?
Yeah.
Like somehow we just go super libertarian and the governor wins no one. And so it's like, hey, guess what? We don't have a governor.
Oh, darn.
Yeah.
Look at all the terribleness that would probably happen as a result. Obtain an absent voter ballot without providing reason, which, okay, I'll get behind that one. Like, if you're just out of the state, why do I have to tell you, government, to approve my ballot?
Why does the government have to control if I'm going to be out of the state? Well, why are you going to be out of the state? Don't worry about it. I'm going to be out of the state, and I want an absentee ballot.
Yeah. Why are you using your PTO? Because I want to.
Yeah, because I'm using PTO. I have paid time off, and I'm using it.
Yeah.
But why?
Don't worry about it. Cast a straight ticket vote for all candidates of a particular political party when voting in a partisan general election. How lazy do you have to be to say, oh, I'm not voting because I can't check or fill in one circle on the Scantron, rather than going down and actually voting for the party of your choice?
Yeah, and because I mean, do you really want that? Because let's say again with libertarians, we don't have someone running in every single spot available. So what if I happen to do my research and I say, oh well, there's no libertarian, but instead of not voting for someone in that area, I want to vote for the one that would most match what I believe in.
Yeah.
And doing the one party ballot would just take away that ability too.
Yeah. Well, and you see people like Gary Johnson, who's in New Mexico, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Running for Senate, who's actually getting screwed over by straight ticket voting because it forces people to only vote for a party.
Yeah, and so you could have a Republican that wants to vote Republican or Democrat, not to leave them out, wants to vote their party for everything else, but they really want Gary Johnson as a senator, and that would be the one vote that would go outside of their party. And if you do the single party, you don't allow that. It's taking away even more of your rights at the polling station.
Well, and this isn't saying like you have to do straight ticket voting.
Yeah, that's true. But people would. You know, a lot of people would just be, oh, I only got to fill in one bubble.
Yeah. Again, it's yes, it probably is not going to stop people from, oh, I'm in the blue wave, I'm in the red wave, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to stop that, but it seems like this is something that we want to add to the Constitution that we care about enough to go in and start changing and stuff around. And a lot of these things just, you're a lazy voter. Yeah,
you're already going to the polling station. Take time to fill out in 12 bubbles.
Yeah. I really want to go back to like poll tax. Like, you have to own property.
Yeah.
You have to take a test. And, you know, if you don't meet those requirements, guess what? You don't have to say what goes on with my tax money that you steal from my property.
Yeah, and plus, I don't know. I think people should have to take the time to fill in the blank and just be like, who am I going to actually vote for? Because maybe it would actually get them, you know, the people that are actually going to the polling stations and care, it would get them to do their research.
What I would love to see, remove party affiliation from every line and say, okay, you go in without your slip of paper, and because we're already curtailing your freedom of speech and expression, go in and try and pick out those candidates. And I was reading not Vox, but Gavin McGinnis started up. They're the ones that did the North Korea visit with Dennis Rodman. Vice.
Yeah, Vice.
Someone was complaining about how hard it was for them to vote, and they were like a Florida registered citizen wanting to vote in Tennessee and failed to do so. But I mean, right there, that should tell you, hey, guess what? Florida, you can't vote in Tennessee.
Yeah, good job. You're a registered voter in Florida. You should have become a registered voter in Tennessee.
But he was saying that he was excited to vote in something more than local politics. But local politics is where you have the most control over things. Mm-hmm. And that's what people fail to understand. That's why the November elections like this and the president one get so much more turnout, because there's this false understanding that the feds have this great control over people, over the country, which is true, but it's only there because people have bought into that idea of like, well, we have a top-down system that, you know, the feds tell the states what to do, which is the case now, but the states were the one that imbued the feds with the power, and it can remove it and take it away per piecemeal anytime it wants.
Yeah, that's why, I mean, people are crazy that we get such a big turnout for presidential elections, but local elections are the ones who affect. I mean, you're voting for your community,
right?
You're for your state, for your county. That's what affects you the most. Right. The decisions made at a local level all the way up to the state are the ones that are going to affect you the most. Like, yeah, the presidential election obviously is going to affect something, but is it really affecting you as a person that much right now? Like, I honestly don't feel personally too affected by the who the president is. I haven't felt personally affected really in a long time.
No, you don't have Trump derangement syndrome?
No.
The
only time I was honestly
Orange Hitler man.
Yeah.
He isn't coming for your Kush that you have.
The only time I really felt affected by who the president was at the time was when I was in the military, because your top boss is the president at that time.
Yeah, and you have the Libertarian Party like Lisa for the Attorney General, who talk about how we need to get the Department of Education out of operation within the state of Michigan, which you can do from that level. You can tell the feds, nope, I'm not taking your blood money.
Yeah, that's all it is. That's the only reason the feds have such a strong foothold is because they're like, we'll give you money if you do it our way.
We stole money from your people so that we can combine it with other money from other people we stole it from, to then hand it out again if you enact our policies.
Yeah.
It happens for our roads. Our roads are the biggest one, which is funny because sitting in with the road commission earlier this month, they talk about, hey, we'd like to do all this stuff, but lack of funds from the state. But where the state get it, the state gets it mostly from the feds for enacting whatever it is, and it doesn't have to be infrastructure related. It could be things like education needs. So you enact No Child Left Behind, and you'll get $30 billion for roads. Well, if you're the governor, you turn that down. That's going to be used against you in the next election cycle.
You're not going to you're not going to do another term.
Another term, even though you can only do 2.
Yeah.
But that doesn't seem that hasn't seemed to stop Snyder. Like
nope.
he enacted. There were like 4 or 6 proposals when he had his first term, and it was something like emergency managers was one. It was having the power companies invest in green technology, and all those got voted down, or a good majority of them did. Mm-hmm. And then they just get reenacted by the legislator. Well, how is that the case? He should know that, hey, I've only got 2 terms in here. I'm on my second one. Maybe I should actually be concerned about what people want, because I'm not in here for the long run too.
Yeah.
So obviously that's not, term limits doesn't seem to be doing much. The reason I like term limits is because it doesn't get people acclimated to the system. I think there's a really good Facebook video series called The Swamp. Thomas Massey's involved in it and stuff like that. One. Really, really good. But it seems like the new people, especially when Tea Party came in, or when you had people that were freshman senators and representatives from even Democratic areas you were voting against the incumbents. They came in and they were asking questions. I don't remember the guy's name, but he's talking to a person from the DEA about if the drugs for marijuana are the exact same thing as heroin, and she wouldn't answer him. I'm like, dude, you're a Democrat. You can't be asking those questions. Yeah. But watch The Swamp, because it shows you just how bad the system is. I mean, it does need to be razed to the ground.
Term limits could, especially nice short ones, could get rid of the old saying of like, well, that's just how it goes.
Yeah, but the thing about that I challenge anybody who's about term limits on that. Okay, term limits good. Who's the last like 5 senators you voted for? And if they're the same person, you're the problem.
Yeah.
Term limits is going to stop you from doing it. But people can enact their own term limits. What should happen every single time is anytime that there's the I next to the person for incumbent, just vote for a different person. Even if you're Democrat, vote for the Green people. I think is it Sweden, where they have like 6 political parties, and no one's able to get a good majority. So things kind of stall and slow, and people have to work more closely together. So the rhetoric isn't there to say, the Republicans are terrible, or whatever their version of, or the Democrats are evil because of this. They all have to work. Like, there's the Pirate Party over there, which is great. And it forces the political party to minimize their impact, because you can't go full rhetoric on it, and you have to kind of bring it back in to reflect a more toned down, agreed upon legislation that is enacted. So we have the left right. That means it's only the Democrat and Republican, but hey, if enacting a few green people in there, even though they're quite crazy, or the Constitution Party or the Taxpayer Party.
Yeah, I looked at that, and there's on the sample ballot, there's quite a few names that, you say green, independent, U.S. taxpayers, libertarian, Republican, Democrat. If we could just get all of them, like have a nice majority of just someone from every party.
Yeah.
Making up.
And people claim to want bipartisanship, but then are rooting for their team when they go against the other team. Like, because that's our team. We're tribal, and
that's why it's so ridiculous to have just the 2-party system, because it creates these polar opposites. It creates you versus me, kind of that whole mentality of like where if you had 6 to choose from, you might be like, well,
or that's where the true bipartisanship
maybe
comes in.
I like the pirate party better.
Yeah. And maybe we can interject some freedom into this, and it's not just abortions for everybody, abortions for nobody. And then let's talk about that incessantly.
Yeah, because it's just Republican, Democrat, exact opposites of both,
and then
of every issue.
From a top-down perspective, if you want to believe in that terrible idea, then you don't have a president who you can call literally a Hitler and give your guns over to him and he could do bad things. Or you don't have a Supreme Court that is, oh, well, this one's more conservative. Oh, this one's more liberal. You have a better understanding of how your Constitution is read, because then you have a more moderate system that says, here's not just words evolve over time, and so we're just going to read the Constitution how we want to, but then we're going to say, oh, well, the founders never intended for this to happen.
Yeah.
When it's the other side going against it, and then you don't have the people who never want to change it. You have to make certain changes because it reflects what the community population has voted into office. Mm-hmm. And the extremes aren't there. They're not going to swing wildly left or right. And that seems to be what happens is, you have Clinton, and then you have Bush, and then you have Obama, and then you have Bush again, or vice versa. Bush, Clinton, Bush.
Yeah.
So it just seems to be this teeter-totter effect where then you don't have the far out reaches of the far left pretending to be moderate, the far right pretending to be moderate. You will have a lot more balance because you have a lot more choices, and you can always offset people by voting them. The Pirate Party has more people by one person, and so
and then it's way easier to sway people too, because maybe that one Pirate Party person is like, you know what, I think the people I represent and myself, maybe side with this party on that one better, so they might jump their vote over there, and then just gives it's just a much. I think we'd have a better working system and more compromises actually.
Well,
on issues.
And Sweden has about 10 million people.
Yeah.
10 million is way different than, 350 million.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you would want, you want California to be California and be, weird and bizarre. But then Northern California doesn't want to be weird or bizarre. So,
it's funny because a place like Sweden has 10 million people. You would expect you'd expect that place to be the two-party place.
Right, yeah.
Because there's not that many people.
Right.
But you'd expect a place with 350 million people to be the place that has, a majority of 6 parties, maybe, and probably tons more parties. But, you would be represented more. There'd be more parties represented. But, no, we've just all fallen into 2. And luckily, libertarian is starting to gain a little ground here.
A little bit, yeah.
That maybe down the road it can switch to a 3, and maybe it can just steamroll from there and keep going.
Right. Or, at the very least, put a stop to all of it.
Yeah.
Especially on the federal level.
Yeah, just get rid of it. That's a better idea. Instead of waiting, 2 centuries for it to get to a 6-party system, let's just get rid of the system.
At least from that top-down mentality. Go back, read a history book, realize that the states are the ones that incorporated the federal government, and realize that they can take that power back.
The power's still there. I mean, the simple county sheriff being able to kick out the FBI from their county. I mean, that's a county.
Or in some places, the coroner being able to arrest the sheriff.
Yep, that's in Manitowoc County right there.
Yeah, sometime may need to happen, but I guess that's it for this episode, because we only have the 3 proposals and only a few libertarian candidates that you should check out their platforms online. Like I said, they're starting to pick up steam. Michigan, I think, is probably going to be a hard-fought area, but at the same time, I'm seeing a lot more meetups and I think more interest in libertarians. Like I see even more national people like Ben Shapiro or Steven Crowder kind of trying to identify more with libertarianism or some form of it, where like Steven Crowder, I don't honestly believe that you're quite a libertarian. I think you still have...
If he's a libertarian, he's still a pretty right-leaning libertarian.
Yeah, which is fine.
Or a libertarian-leaning Republican.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's totally fine.
But I think right now, because there are so extreme positions, you're Trump or you're a communist.
Yeah.
A socialist. You're... The extremes obviously get the most amount of coverage.
TV time.
Yeah. So we have this kind of thinking process, but Nixon and Reagan had the people come out and be, you know, the silent majority. Mm-hmm. You still have that, and we see that because, you know, 34% of the population votes. Where's the rest of them?
Yep.
They don't care. It's not important, and it truly isn't important. If it's handled on an individualistic level, you can, you know, build the roads. You can have a police force, a fire department. You can enact these voluntary systems that you do every other day. Hey, I want to go to Walmart and exchange fiat money for water. Hey, guess what I can do? I can do exactly that. And it's done voluntarily. Walmart can't hold a gun to my head and say, buy my water.
Nope.
You know, they can't come in and threaten me because I can just go away.
Start purifying my own water because in Michigan we're allowed. We've been granted the permission to collect our own water.
Yeah.
So you can buy Matt's water.
There you go. Matt's water. It's God's water. All of it's God's water.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode. And get out and vote, or don't. If you're uninformed,
totally
please don't. And just remember to not commit violence or the threat of violence against people, because that's a violation of non-aggression principle. We'll come back sometime next week and see if the non-aggression principle still stands, and we'll hopefully still be non-violent people at the end. So as always, live free, live radically, and live free.
And legalize it.